Hey Canucks fans, gonna do something a little different today, given that it's Thanksgiving and that it's the 16th anniversary of my father's death. And I know I've talked about my dad on this channel a lot, about who he was and how he inspired me and how he's my hero. But I don't think I've talked about the circumstances of his death or how he passed away. Don't worry, it's nothing grim, it's nothing gross, it's nothing horrifying, but it brings me great comfort and joy actually to talk about him. So if you're looking for Canucks coverage, free agency talk, NHL talk, you're not gonna get it today. And I will give you permission to not watch this video if you don't want to. I certainly will not be offended. But if you want to continue to get to know me better and know a bit more of my story, I encourage you, I invite you to keep on watching. And quick programming note, I'll be doing my Ask Me Anything video tomorrow afternoon. I mentioned this in yesterday's vlog. So if you have any questions about the Canucks, about free agency, about Jim Benning, about the NHL, who we sign, who we're going to sign, why do we let this guy go, leave a question below and I'll answer it tomorrow. Just mark it AMA for Ask Me Anything. And similarly, I usually do my vlog on Sunday night. I should say my live stream. I'm moving that to tomorrow night. So I'll be doing my live stream tomorrow night, Monday night at 10 p.m. right here on YouTube. So if you, I'll do another reminder about that tomorrow. So again, leave a question for me for my video, Ask Me Anything video tomorrow, and I'll do my best to get to it. So 16 years ago today, my loving father, Larry, passed away. It was appropriately on Thanksgiving Monday. So October 11, 2004. And earlier today, we had a wonderful lunch with my mom. So it was me, Gail, Sean, Jacob, and Kayla. Drove out to Burnaby Mountain Golf Course where my dad did pass away 16 years ago. And we were able to meet my mom for a really nice lunch. And it was great we haven't really seen her much during COVID time. So it was a wonderful chance to be together, celebrate family during Thanksgiving, and of course, share great memories about my dad and be thankful for him and share in each other's company. And that came just after Jacob and I went to Mass this morning to live stream as we usually do every Sunday. It was a wonderful chance to give thanks and praise to God as well for my dad, Larry, and for his life, and continue to pray for the repose of his soul and continue to ask him to pray for us as he looks down on us from heaven. So 16 years ago, Thanksgiving Monday, October 11, 2004, we were at the pumpkin patch here in Richmond during the morning, and we came back around lunchtime. And then I think we were getting ready. It was about early afternoon. We were getting ready to go over to my mother-in-law's house in Richmond as well. And then we heard a knock at the door, or doorbell rang. And I was very surprised to see my pastor. Well, actually, he's my pastor now. I was really surprised to see Father Smith, who was our assistant pastor at the time. He's since returned to be our pastor just 2 months ago, so it was kind of nice. We were able to chat about the story actually at Mass earlier this morning. So Father Smith is there at my door 16 years ago. And he, I was very surprised to see him on a Thanksgiving Monday. And he says, can I come in? I said, of course. So as we make our way to our TV room, he actually says to me, Clay, I think you should sit down. And I had no clue why he was there. So I sillily said, do you need to confess something to me? I don't know why I said that. The guy's a priest. Father Smith is a priest. It's not like he was going to confess to a lay person. If he had anything to confess, he would have confessed to a brother priest of his. But he kind of smiled and he said, he actually... quite quickly, but very caringly and lovingly said, your father has left us and is now in heaven. And, he didn't use the word died. He didn't use the word passed away. He just said, your father has left us and is now in heaven. And I was so confused. I was obviously very sad. I was shocked. I don't know if I knew that my dad was golfing that day. And I tried to piece things together over the next little bit. And then, and I'll get to that story in a second. So, I obviously started crying. I was upset. And then I asked Father Smith to take me to my mom's house so I could tell my mom. And then I wanted her to hear it from me. But when we got to my mom's place, the police had beat us there by about 5 minutes. So I walked in the house, and it was the saddest thing. My mom was on the floor bawling in our living room. And then all I could do was hug her and comfort her. And then I think when I was on my way there, I called my brother Jason to tell him the bad news. And then obviously he was upset. So then finally we ended up at my mother-in-law's place where they could watch. It was just Sean and Jacob at the time. And then Gail, me, my mom, my brother, and my brother's wife, Joanna, we all went to the Nikkei place, the old folks home where my dad's mom was, my grandma was. And then we met another aunt there, and we had to explain to her, tell her the bad news. And, that was sad just to see my grandmother learn firsthand the news of her son's death. So that's basically the chain of events. But what was interesting, what happened is my dad was golfing at Burnaby Mountain with his best friend Glenn, and they were on the 17th hole. And I guess they had taken their first shots, their drives off the tee, and they're walking up the fairway. And then my dad had a heart attack on the fairway as he was approaching his ball. And Glenn tried his best to revive him. He administered CPR, but to no avail. And my dad did not make it. My dad passed away on the golf course. Found out, at least he was doing something that he loved, right? He wasn't that good at golfing, but he was pretty good actually. But at least he was doing something he loved. And they found out later that he had 3 blocked arteries, partially blocked arteries, and he had no clue because I guess he hadn't kept up on his visits to the doctor. So Glenn, all he knew is that I worked for the Catholic Church. He didn't know which church or diocese or church or parish or whatever. So Glenn called his girlfriend Cindy and said, Cindy, you got to find Clay and you got to let him know the news. So what Cindy did is she took out the white pages. Remember, this is pre-internet, or just as the internet was getting going. She took out the white pages and she looked up Catholic Church. And if you guys remember the white pages, it usually has it actually listed our pastoral center first, 150 Robson at the time, and then it listed all the churches in alphabetical order. But she didn't know what church I went to or where I worked. They just knew that I worked for a Catholic church. So she ended up calling the pastoral center first, but it was Thanksgiving Monday, so no answer, a voicemail. So then she started going from alphabetical order. So B, Blessed Sacrament, C, Canadian Martyrs. And she only got 3 or 4 down the road. And thankfully it's Corpus Christi Corpus Christi Parish. And it was the late Father Michael there. And Father Michael picked up the phone, thank God, on Thanksgiving Monday and said, oh, I know that Clay goes to St. Paul's. So I was very grateful that Father Michael picked up the phone, and I was very grateful that he knew where I worshiped. So then Cindy ended up calling St. Paul's. Father Luderback picks up the phone, and Father Luderback told Father Smith. And it's kind of cool that Father Smith told me his side of the story just a couple of weeks ago, as we knew that this death anniversary is coming up. And I guess Father Luderback told Father Smith to go find me and tell me the news. So I was very grateful for Glenn's quick thinking to call Cindy, and for Cindy to take the effort to start to call every Catholic church. So then Cindy, after Cindy calls Father Luderback says, Father Smith, go find Clay. Not sure why, but Father Smith went actually to my mother-in-law's place first. So Julianne was there, Gail's sister, and Gail's mom, of course. And they actually said, no, they're coming here later today for Thanksgiving dinner, but they're still at home. And then Father Smith made his way to me. And that's where I basically started the story earlier, where then he came in, he told me the news, and then it set off the chain of events where then he drove me to my mom's place, then my brother met, and then we went from there to Gail's mother-in-law's place, dropped off the 2 boys, and then we all went to go to Burnaby to tell my dad's mom. And now looking back at it, 16 years, it's still hard. I had to really compose myself before I started recording this. It's still hard because that's my dad, and he's my hero. He was when he was alive, and he certainly still is today. I still get emotional thinking about it, but I think of everything that happened that day, the fact that he was doing something that he loved, the fact that he was with his best friend, the fact that the best friend and the best friend's girlfriend had the wherewithal and the thought to try and find me. The fact that Father Michael picked up at Corpus Christi and he knew that I went to St. Paul's. The fact that Father Luderback picked up at St. Paul's and asked Father Smith to go on this wild goose chase to find me in Richmond. And the grace and the care and the dignity that Father Smith showed me when he was sharing this absolutely horrible news with me. And in fact, I'm so silly back then, right? I actually thought that Father Smith was going to confess something to me. Like, that's kind of the funny part of the story that Father Smith and I always joke about. But all these things happen, and then, then having to call my brother, devastating. Having to see my mom, devastating. Having to tell my dad's mom, devastating. It was a really, really rough day. But as I said, the year after it happened, or even the days after it happened, as I'll say now, 16 years after it happened, I'm so grateful. And it's so fitting that it happened on Thanksgiving, because I have so much to give thanks for. Not just my current health and my current situation, my lovely wife Gail, we have 3 amazing kids, my mom's still alive and healthy, all the friends and family that we have. And just in general, I have a job that I love, and I can do goofy things like vlog about the Vancouver Canucks and do goofy, silly music videos. I bowl, I run a ministry. I'm studying for my master's. That wasn't a litany to try and make me look so busy, but I just wanted to show how grateful and how thankful I am that I have my health and I have the ability and God's given me the ability and the energy and the talent to do the things that I love doing. And that's kind of the way like my dad taught me to be, is to just do my best in whatever I can. Don't try and I always say, I have a lot of serious roles and I take my roles very seriously, but I don't take myself too seriously. And I learned that from my dad as well. For those of you that remember my dad, he was so loving, he was so funny, always the life of the party, always made someone else in the room feel better through talking to him or through being with him. And I really try and emulate that in the way that I relate to people, in the way that I converse with people, and I build authentic, genuine relationships with people. And then when it comes to actual, what my dad was like, you guys know the fact that he was funny, he was the life of the party, he was very caring, he was very genuine, he was very humble. Okay, so maybe there's one place that we're different. And he was, but he was always trying to put smiles on other people's faces. And obviously from a standpoint of, he taught me what it was like to be a man, he taught me what it was like to be a good dad, he taught me what it was like to be a good husband. And I'm just so grateful. I'm so thankful. So yes, 16 years later, it's still sad, it still hurts, but 16 years later, I remain eternally grateful and eternally thankful that I had such a great man in my life, that he taught me so much, and that I'm able to pay tribute to him even through small things like this, like the 12-minute vlogs that I can post about him and about his memory and about his legacy. So Dad, I love you. Thank you. Thank you for teaching me what it means to be a good husband, a good father, and a man. I love you very much. I miss you. And today, as with every day, so grateful and so thankful for you. I love you.